Hey everyone, Stalky Boy here. The first thing I want to say is I don't think this add-on is terrible. I just find a lot of people tend to exaggerate how strong it is. I've seen tons of people say it's a free victory. I have no idea if these people are serious or not. Knowing Dead by Daylight, they probably are. Let's take a look at said add-on and just see exactly what it does. The Fragrant Tuft of Hair. Unlimited duration of tier 3, but it increases the amount of evil required to reach evil within 3. From evil within 2 by 200%. Very simple add-on, and at first glance it's very easy to see why many people jump to the conclusion that this add-on is wickedly overpowered. For those that don't know, in tier 3 survivors can be down instantly. Myers gets a pretty fast vault and a longer lunge, but he also has a bigger tear radius. The tear radius is one of the biggest reasons as to why this add-on isn't too great. You still have to down survivors normally, and while the fast vault and longer lunge is nice, you are still playing a normal M1 killer for the most part. Survivors can pre-drop pallets, and on the majority of the maps, there are more than enough pallets to hold off the killer. As long as the other survivors have 2 brain cells and hold the M1 button, they'll be fine. And if you try to break off the chase and find someone else, the other person gets more than enough time to respawn, along with the fact that Myers is 7 feet tall in this game. Despite Myers in the first movie, the Myers that this game is taking influence from is 5'10", but that's besides the point. If Myers can't sneak up on someone, he loses one of his greatest advantages on survivors. Insta-downs are great, but the great thing about standard Myers is he can sneak up on someone without them knowing he's there and down them before a chase even begins. He already struggles to sneak up on survivors that have eyes to begin with on a good portion of maps, so making it even harder to get a little closer to survivors can be looked at as a big downside. And insta-downs are cool, but survivors are going to realize that you have infinite tier 3 and will stop healing. Once they stop healing, not only do you not slow down the game, but you miss out on another big advantage that Myers has. When Myers gets a snowball going with tier 3, it leaves the survivors injured, which is great, and typically, you don't down all 4 or anything like that. Let's just say 2 survivors are injured after a small tier 3 snowball. They then heal because they hear you've tiered down. In the time it takes for the survivor to be unhooked and healed, they've wasted a good portion of time. While that's been happening, Myers has found another survivor and has gotten the opportunity to 99 his tier 2, ready to strike again while also downing this individual in tier 2. It only takes 5 seconds to get back to tier 3, while it takes 16 seconds base to heal 1 survivor. The survivors aren't pushing the game forward at all while doing this, but the shape can gain his stock while he's in chase. He's basically establishing a hook on a completely different survivor while chasing someone else. This doesn't exist if you are using infinite tier 3. There's no slowdown at all. And you might say, well, it works well if you're downing the survivors faster, except you most likely won't be since you give the survivors such an early warning with your tear radius, and they will stay injured. And if a survivor is injured, then you'll have to deal with Dead Hard. Dead Hard is still very popular, which means you'll be going through another health state, so you might as well have downed that individual in tier 2. Great survivors can make it very difficult to predict their Dead Hards, really just making a pain in the rear to avoid it. Good survivors are also completely fine with remaining injured. Injuring a good survivor player is equal to just an inconvenience to them. To this, I'm sure many are saying, well, I'll just go ahead and use anti-exhaustion perks. If you use these perks, you have to take away from game delay, anti-loop, or information perk. And you are going to need game delay since the 200% additional stalking requirement can be a pain in the rear. You'll want information perks to snowball more efficiently, and you'll want some sort of anti-loop perk since the additional lunge and vaulting speed won't be enough a lot of the time, unless you stack them with perks to increase these values. And on top of all of this, if you want to keep some sort of stealthy aspect of Myers, you now have to use a perk like any other 32 tear radius killer to keep this aspect of the character. You can't pick all of these perks, so it can prove to be quite difficult to decide on what exactly to do. No matter what, you're missing out on something. Now, with all of this said, you might be thinking, wow, Stalky, you think this add-on is really garbage. But I don't. The add-on can be really nice with certain synergies, even if you are missing out on other things. People just put this add-on above so many others that I think are better than it. I would rather have Hairbow than Infinite Tier 3, for example. I also find, despite it being weaker than the Tombstone piece, that Judith's Tombstone is better than Infinite Tier 3. At least with Judith's Tombstone, when you spend all the time stalking, you completely remove someone from the game. This add-on is an absolute noob stomper though. Newer players do get really scared when injured and might heal regardless of not really needing to. Newer players also tend to be more immersive, so they won't hold W when they hear the terror radius. Instead, they'll stick around the area, hiding behind a rock, begging to have a knife be put through their sternum. It's a good add-on, but I'm tired of hearing people talking about the fragrant tuft of hair and putting it on the same pedestal of the tombstones, hairbow, or even the J. Myers Memorial. It's not that great. Now, I'm not saying this add-on should be buffed. I think it's fine as is. I've been meaning to talk about this add-on for a while, and now that I have, I can finally rest easy tonight. Thank you all so much for watching. Is there something that I missed? Some sort of perfect tuft of hair synergy I don't know of? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks again, and I hope to see you in the next one.